So we're at the Wormhole Studio in the Dot Creatives Complex for Joe Lyle's interview with the University Pulse. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good.
So you've got your Indiegogo campaign going for your newest album. How many days you got left on it?
Closing up on 15 days.
And how much money have you raised for it so far?
We've raised $690.
Out of what's your final goal for it?
$1,500.
$1,500. Do you think you're going to make it there?
I have a feeling we're going to get pretty close. I'd love to make it there.
Nice. So I got faith in you. So we're going to go right into one of your songs. What are you going to play for us?
I'm going to play a song called Kissing.
Kissing?
Yep.
Nice.
It's one of the first fingerstyle songs I wrote.
Sweet. Well, I will let you grab your guitar and we'll get the song going.
Cool.
was amazing.
Thanks.
Enjoyed hearing you play that.
Thank you.
So, how long have you been working on these songs for this album?
I picked up the guitar about 5.5 years ago, or somewhere around there, and immediately was inspired to start trying to learn the fingerstyle acoustic guitar. I saw some Candy Rat videos of Andy McKee, Sergio Altamura, and Michael Hedges, one of my hugest inspirations. And so I just kind of immediately, Tommy Emmanuel too, and was just inspired to go straight into that style. And I mean, they didn't sound super elaborate to begin with, but yeah, I think I started writing right when I got my guitar, that kind of stuff.
Is it the same guitar that you were playing for the song? Or is that a newer guitar you've got?
The first guitar I got was an Ibanez, just kind of a cheap one, but it got me really inspired and really stoked. And then actually I bought a Vizio flat screen TV one time because I came across like a chunk of money, and it sat like at the end of my bed for 3 weeks and I didn't watch it once. And I just thought, this is uninteresting. I took it back and then I went and bought the guitar the next day. So, but I think everything that is on the record was written on my guitar.
So what's the oldest song that you've got going on the record? What was the first one that you wrote?
Shoot, probably a song called Sunday. Yeah, and it's one of the more upbeat, like enjoyable ones, I guess.
Now you're all fully instrumental. What kind of stories are you telling through your songs?
Just I play a lot of I play when I'm sad a lot of the time. So like a lot of the music has some melancholy notes to it, I guess. But basically the album kind of goes on a journey from like moments in my life where I was super, super inspired and super joyful. And then it's a really honest album because the latter half of it kind of goes into like the sadder tones of like certain experiences and things that I was working through. And whenever something would happen, I would just grab my guitar. I lived in Ontario, Oregon, and there wasn't anything to do. So I would go for like a 2-hour walk and just write and play music and kind of express myself. And then those songs were born during that time. So yeah, it's just honest songs that reflect the feelings that I had. I felt like lyrics, as much as I'm a fan of lyrics, I feel like often they can kind of get in the way for me personally. But I feel like when I just play music, I can get what I'm feeling out like in a really honest way.
Now, when you're writing, do you have any kind of a visual idea, or is it more of just an audio kind of thing that you're doing with your tunes?
Actually, yeah, I think about colors a lot when I play music, and a lot of the colors that I think about tend to be like grayish blue. So I guess if that's visual, yeah, I like imagine lots of the songs being a cobalt blue. If that's not weird or not.
Oh, it makes sense. You got the blue colors, go with kind of the blue moods.
Yeah, and then some of them are, I guess, really zesty, and they have like amber notes to them. In fact, I like to think about colors a lot when I'm playing. Sometimes I'll just play one note over and over again for a half an hour and just try to play it as many different ways as I can. And it's amazing how you can start to see it outside of just sound. You kind of see colors in it. So yeah, there's definitely like a visual feel to it. I've had some people say it's cinematic, but I don't know.
Now I can understand what they mean by cinematic, because your songs, when I hear your songs, I do get a real visual for them, and especially your song Hornswoggle's Attack, which is probably one of my favorite tunes from the upcoming album. It kind of has a real vibrant tone to it. I see reds and greens when I'm listening to that one.
Oh, really?
But
It
of
is
course, I'm
pretty
thinking about the
aggressive.
Oompa Loompas.
Yeah, stop, go, stop, go. So, yeah, Hornswoggles is definitely probably the most aggressive piece on the album for sure. It's very red.
Now you've got for your campaign, you've got some pretty ambitious awards going for it. I know your $1,000 bid, your $1,000 reward is writing an entire album, basically.
Yeah, that was kind of a risky one because I wouldn't want to cheat the writing process, but I thought about it for a long time, and something that I would really like to do is write music for like an indie film or something like that. So my thoughts behind that were maybe somebody would see that and say, oh, I'm making this film, and maybe get inspired to just commission me to like write the whole work. But either way, I think like writing is good. And so if it helped me got to the goal and it gave somebody something they wanted, I think it'd be an awesome journey. I don't even know what's going to happen with it or what it would sound like yet.
So you don't have any ideas for any sounds going for it. You're just going to sit down with whoever gets it and be like, hey, what do you want this to be?
Yeah, pretty much. One of the perks was for $250 just to write a song for somebody, one song. And I think with that, I'm going to ask, I've had one person contribute for that one, and I want to keep it pretty simple, but I want to find out what emotion they want to express. And if they want it to be like a slower song or an upbeat song, and then if they want it to have a minor feel or a major feel. And like once I get that information, I think I'll kind of wrap my head around it. I may ask them a story or something, but I want to keep the inspiration kind of. I don't want to mess with it too much.
Right, you want to wait for the inspiration to come before you put any.
Yeah,
before you try to plan ahead into it.
For sure.
So you don't only do just solo work. You've got a couple other musical projects going on. What's your? You're in a band called A Sea of Glass.
Yes.
So how does your work with The Sea of Glass differ from what you're doing solo?
Oh, it's A Sea of Glass is I love it so much because it's a big collaboration of 5 minds instead of just my head. And so like when we complete a song, even if it originated in one person's mind, by the time it's done, I feel like it's a representation of like 5 individuals. And so it differs in a lot of ways because when I write my stuff, I think, and I mean, it sounds different, first of all, because mine's just acoustic instrumental. I don't really use like that finger style in Sea of Glass. And then it just has a way rockier feel, which is kind of fun because, I mean, I might play a coffee shop one night and then the next night, like, go play a rock show with them. Not really rock, but Sea of Glass rock.
Now, what's the kind of the different mood between what you do with Sea of Glass and what you do solo? Is there any kind of mood crossovers? I know there's a much different style of playing, and you've got acoustic instrumental versus, you singing up on stage and playing.
Yeah, mood-wise, we're all lovers of beauty in the band. Like, we love just beautiful sounding music. But what was the main point of that question?
Oh, what's the difference between the moods in what you're playing with the Sea of Glass? Because you've got more melancholy moods going with your solo work, and the Sea of Glass is more. It still has the hints of melancholy in places, but it's got other rockier tones to it as well. Yeah,
there's a certain energy in Sea of Glass that I don't think I could get by myself with a guitar, no matter how hard I tried. With Tyler drumming and just Sam's guitar riffs and then there's a certain energy that the mood definitely shifts. There's points where it feels really vibrant and exciting and upbeat. But with mine, there tends to be with my solo stuff, there tends to be a really introspective mood. But it's actually, to be honest, like the moods are pretty similar, at least in my mind. Though the sounds are pretty different, it's just a different way to express like the same kind of things inside. But it's great to do it with a band because there's so many different options and different ways to express like
Has
an
a lot
idea.
more texture to it.
Yeah. But then again, that's what I love about my solo acoustic project, because I'm a big fan. Like I said earlier, one of my big inspirations is Sergio Altamura, and he would be called a minimalist, and he uses his acoustic guitar to try to paint a picture. And so sometimes it's like when you go shopping for a paint color, when you want to paint your room, there's so many options that it feels limiting. And I do love that about like that simplicity about just having a guitar. Because I mean, outside of using loop stations and throwing some reverb on there, it's pretty organic and pretty simple. So it's pretty easy to kind of get that feel right off the bat.
Now, going back to your beginnings, how did you learn to play the guitar? Were you formally taught, or was it all self-teaching?
It was self-taught. I did take lessons for about 2 months from one of my good friends, Nick Shirt, at the shop that I got the guitar, and he showed me some really cool techniques on how to like build chords and stuff like that. But it did have like there was a lot of jazz information I think I probably could have pulled out of it, and I really enjoyed it. But I just feel like he gave me so much good information that if I would have kept taking the lessons, I probably wouldn't have been able to use the information he gave me like to its fullest extent. So I stopped taking lessons and just tried to apply like his chord building knowledge. And then I just continued to teach myself from there. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, learned Angelina by Tommy Emmanuel, just kind of dove straight into it, and it wasn't a pretty process at first, but it was really rewarding. Each song, it took a long time, but each song, like, it just felt super rewarding to sit there and put in 30 or 40 hours and get like the first portion of like a 4 or 5 portion song done under my belt. And yeah, I just I didn't care to learn 1,000 different techniques, and like I didn't really ever want to be a droid. Not that people that know that much are droids, but I really wanted it to be like just an adventure, and like I just wanted to play what I heard, and no matter how hard it was, I wanted to find a way to make that happen. But YouTube is an amazing tool because you can just see so many different techniques in less than an hour, and then, I mean, being able to see it, then you can try it yourself, and so I used a lot of that.
Now, you used to say, you probably still do, you had a card that said, Joe Lyle, the songs already exist. What does that mean? Does that mean that you've already written all these songs, or is there a different, deeper meaning to that?
Yeah, there's a really deep meaning to that for me. And it's one of those topics that I enjoy like talking with people about one-on-one, because I like to see what they think about it. But my personal idea about it is that because of my beliefs, I believe in God, and I believe that if He knows everything that has already happened and everything that will ever take place, then in some sense, some might call it a higher power, an energy, like the knowledge of that song has taken shape already, if it's already known about. And so for me, when I write a song, I think of it like I'm out there hunting, or it's like this journey. And so I do think they have form in some way, and it's more like me discovering them. And it's really exciting, because it's amazing. What I do often is I'll just go out and, like, this might sound cheesy, but I'll just stare at the stars and I'll start to listen, and my imagination will start singing. I think it's my imagination, the creative part of my brain will start singing a melody or a song into my brain. But I get that from the inspiration from people and in the world around me and in nature. But But then when I kind of pull away from all those distractions and get by myself and I listen, I'll start to hear like ideas. So most of the songs on the record came from just like not playing the guitar for the first 20 or 30 minutes of my walk and really listening to my imagination. And then most of them are in alternate tunings as well. So I would create a tuning to get that idea. And I love alternate tunings because Michael Hedges once put it this way, when you change everything up, your whole universe is wiped away. And that resonates with me a lot. It's weird. You change all the strings and you get this new like open chord that just sounds majestic and beautiful and the intervals are tight, but you have no idea how to make a chord happen on it. So you start with one string and then you add another one and it starts to sing itself to you. And yeah, it's a really great way. One of the title track, A Walk with the Leaves, the last track on the album, actually was probably one of the coolest experiences because I had a dream and heard the entire song in the dream, and it just imprinted itself in my mind. And I woke up and hummed the melody into my phone, and it took over a year and a half to actually figure out the appropriate tuning to justify that song. But yeah, I feel like songs are really a gift. I never want to take credit for them. I never want to call it, it's my album because I recorded it, but I think it's just a privilege to be able to write music. And yeah.
So you've kind of got this idea going that, I was just watching a show. I don't remember who they were talking about, but there was this sculptor that said, the statue is already in there. I just have to release it from the marble. It kind of sounds like that's kind of the same kind of process that you've got going. The songs do already exist. You've just got to kind of chip away all the stones and chunks to get the form underneath.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, do you use alternate tunings for all your different songs? Or do you have one you kind of like try to stick with?
Let's see. I think most songs are there's a couple songs that are in the same tuning, but they end up being separate songs and there's just different movements. So like there might be one tuning that I use on two songs, but they have completely different feels. So I'll just like bridge the gap somehow, and then it kind of feels like a movement, like orchestrally. There's part one and part two. But yeah, sometimes at my shows I have to like find a joking way to keep people entertained while I'm retuning, because I obviously can't afford 12 different guitars for all the different tunings. But along the way I've like stolen some pretty funny jokes from some performers, and people seem to be pretty forgiving, and I've learned to do it pretty quick too. But I mean, not too quick. I've tried to do it too fast before, and then suffered the entire song having a string out of tune.
All right, well, let's get one more song out of you, and then we can call it a day. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, what song are we going to be playing?
I'll probably do A Walk with the Leaves. Yeah, the last track.
All right, well, I look forward to hearing it, and thanks for coming by, Joe.
Thank you so much.